Hey everybody, this is Whitlock, television beat writer for Bleeding Cool. Welcome you back once again to our weekly recap review of NBC's AP Bio, starring It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia's Glenn Howerton and Happy's Patton Oswalt. And yeah, believe it or not, folks, we are actually here with the season finale. Now, I'm going to work under the assumption it's season finale because NBC was really promoting it like that at the end Superstore. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because, again, it's just one of those series that has a really good, strong potential. I've been saying it all season long. I'll say it again. It has that Parks Rec vibe where you just have a really good ensemble cast with a lot of potential held just within the classroom with the students alone that is untapped so far. And I think this was a good segue into a potential second season. Having said that, this episode, Drenching Dallas, I thought was a good, solid episode. I think what hurt it was the not knowing that there's going to be a second season or not, because it seemed like we were softly wrapping up some storylines and having an end that was uplifting and encouraging but vague enough, so we're not quite sure whether this is going to be the end or the end for the next season. So we essentially had two storylines, but I guess I would call them two sub-storylines. I don't think there really was a main one because there was really more the overarching storyline. Jack, as we know from the end of last episode, Jack is taking the job at Stanford. Miles is giving him the go-ahead. Jack is suffering through being friends with Miles and trying to get along with the dean at Stanford, and everything looks like it is going great, is going fantastic. And Jack is saying his goodbyes to everybody. What he tries to do is essentially help the students with their one final revenge, because what we have this Sadie Hawkins dance, and for those of you who know from the previous episode, the Congo-themed, thanks to Durbin's quest, the Congo-themed Sadie Hawkins dance, which Mary, Michelle, and Stef are helping to arrange, and they're also putting together a goodbye video for Jack. So this dance is going on. What we have is we essentially have a drummer by the name of Dallas, and she's in charge of the drummer squad. She comes in, she humiliates one of the AP students, and Jack just decides, okay, I'm going to help you get your revenge, and we're going to put together a Carrie type revenge. Who gave us the Carrie idea? Heather, to no surprise, just because Heather's a pimp, and that's just how Heather rolls. So they have this great idea, but the Jack finds out from Miles, like, look, they're doing this like faculty sweep of people to make sure there's no problems or issues. So Jack, you got to keep your nose clean. So Jack kind of pretty much just stays off to the side, helps him a little bit by giving them a master faculty member key to get around the high school a little easier. But essentially, he has to kind of stay away from it. Now, that's the main storyline. We go into the Sadie Hawkins dance. Now, in the process of putting together the video for Jack, Mary, Michelle, and Steph think they found something called the like a ghost that Helen ends up telling him is Beehive Beverly, which is kind of like one of those Candyman, Beetlejuice type things that may or may not be true. And Durbin, of course, in his non-reassuring way, makes sure that he tells them it's not true, but hey, let's just not see it 3 times to be on the safe side. So we have that sub-storyline going on, which is now leading into the Congo-themed Sadie Hawkins dance, where we now have the AP students who are ready to get their revenge, and we have Jack who rolls in with possibly the worst uplifting, hey, I'm leaving, let me leave you with some kernels of knowledge and truth. Essentially, he took, I'd say, about 45 seconds to reinforce stereotypes people have about gypsies and tell them essentially that you need to get the hell out of Toledo, and even if you have to rely on your good looks, just do whatever you need to, but get out of Toledo. Yeah, again, not the most uplifting speech in the world, but I gotta respect the fact that there are some consistencies to Jack that Glenn Howerton has really kept throughout. He can really just be that D-bag in one hand and then just be that guy you're like, okay, he's got potential in the other. Now, all this is going on. Of course, now Jack is skating off and Jack gets a phone call from Miles. Now, this is where we're going to start getting everything to kind of come together. Miles, through that faculty sweep, turns out Miles has been having a relationship with we thought was a 32-year-old woman named Linda, turned out to be a 16-year-old student. You know where I'm going with this. That 16-year-old student is Heather, because we know that Heather created the profile, and that's been kind of consistently going through all season. Yeah, that happened. So Miles got caught up in the sweep. So Miles is gone. He's not getting anything. He essentially has to do a mea culpa on Oprah to try to get any kind of level of reputation back. And of course, with Miles kind of being the poison tree, Jack, he's the poison fruit. More specifically, Miles' recommendation for that Stanford job is the poison fruit. Jack loses the Stanford job. He's going to be staying in Toledo. And Miles is going to be going on his recovery tour to get his reputation back. So that's where things stand. So we essentially see Jack just sitting outside on the curb, just totally cannot believe what is going on, as inside, after some mechanical issues and some problems and everything like that, lo and behold, the plan works. The buckets of blood drop, and you cannot help but be prouder of these students. They've learned something. They may not have learned a damn bit of biology, but they've learned the importance and the satisfaction that comes with revenge. It's going to be important, really, really important thing to keep in mind, because now we, of course, have to deal with the next day. And the next day is Jack rolling in, and he meets with Derb, and Derb's trying his one last-ditch effort to kind of keep Jack, and it's adorable what he's able to offer when you don't have pretty much anything to offer, which is a second parking spot, which is next to each other, which I thought was pretty funny. It got a floating parking space. I'm assuming to the bookstore a gift certificate and something else, and Jack of course takes it because Jack is just feeling so defeated at this point, and what are his options? And he goes into the class and he just tells them, look, this is it. I'm resolving myself. I'm going to be stuck here. We're going to do what we got to do. And the students, in just one of probably the most anti-Dead Poet Society type, oh, Captain, my Captain moment, just start showing Jack how much they've learned from him in regards to revenge. But we can look at it revenge, but what we need to look at it is they've learned from them how to build self-confidence, how to work with one another, how to be a unit, how to not be a victim and be a stereotype of what they are in that high school. In a very, very interesting way, you see Jack starting to get his confidence back as the students start coming up with a list of people they want to get revenge on. And I think it's a great segue leading into the second season. There's even a great moment where Sarika stands up and puts Jack's name on the list of people she wants to get revenge on. So again, I think that also sets a very interesting precedent for the second season. So again, it was a nice and an uplifting moment. It was ended in a way so that if the series ended, it would be a good ending. There's just so much potential to this series that I hope it doesn't. It's at least deserving of a second season. Again, I can't help but emphasize enough the Parks and Rec vibe. Helen, Michelle, Mary, Stef, Derb, the coach, who I'm killing me, I'm forgetting his name. We've been introduced to some other teachers throughout the season too that just be great. And like I said, the student potential, if nothing else, you have a lot of serious actors in that classroom that could be serious breakout potential. I would urge NBC to at least, and if nothing else, consider that. I think a little bit more push and emphasis. I think this show could go even further second season. But it's been an honor to do the reviews for AP Bio in its first season. Hopefully, I will be back to do them for a second season. Hope you guys have enjoyed them. Make sure you check out my previous ones and let me know what you think. If you agree, disagree, or have other things you want to add to this one, please don't hesitate. Make sure you add comments either on YouTube or add onto the bleedingcool.com post. But again, my name is Ray Flook. I do television beat writing for Bleeding Cool. Make sure you check us out at bleedingcool.com for everything and anything in the pop culture landscape. Whether it's television, films, books, collectibles, comics, everything and anything under the pop culture landscape and under the pop culture sun, we cover it at bleedingcool.com. So make sure you check it out. But otherwise, guys, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday, and I will see you on the inner tubes. Take care.